Final Project Screencast by Anna Roy. This semester we have studied the evolution of race, class, and gender throughout the late 18th to the 20th century. A clear evolution has occurred throughout time, yet today in the 21st century we face new challenges in order to reach equality for all in this cultural amalgamated country. We have seen how the first slave arrived in Jamestown, Virginia in 1691. We have seen that in 1865 the 13th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified, abolishing slavery or involuntary servitude. 100 years passed, and we saw in 1964 Civil Rights Act outlawing discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. As we explored race, we noticed that in the 19th century in the United States, it was tainted with racial injustice and segregation, which remained the norm until the mid-20th century. A strong Pacific leader, Martin Luther King Jr., led the protests to challenge the oppression of racism. He encouraged pacific protestations for equal rights. This is a picture of a press conference held in 1963 in Birmingham, Alabama. Since then, there have been sporadic racial issues, stimulating racial tensions. Over the past 2 years, the media has broadcasted an increase of racial disputes in different areas of the country. A young man, unarmed black teenager named Michael Brown, was shot and killed by white police officers in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014. The following year, a mentally unbalanced young man killed 9 black parishioners in Charleston, South Carolina in 2015. This picture represents the memorial service for 1-year anniversary of Charleston church shooting. Then recently, new uproars have sprung when on July 5, 2016, Alton Sterling, a 37-year-old black man, was shot several times after being tackled to the ground by 2 white police department officers in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 2 days later, in retaliation, Micah Johnson ambushed and fired upon a group of police officers in Dallas, Texas, killing 5 officers and injuring 9 others. Following Martin Luther King's specific steps, these current events have inspired a new slogan in 2013 called Black Lives Matter. This activist movement originates from the African American community campaigning against violence towards black people, drawing attention to the prejudicial deaths of black people in killings by enforcement officers. It also tries to challenge broader issues of racial profiling, police brutalities, and racial inequalities to the United States criminal justice system. The second topic studied this semester has been social classes. As we see in this photograph, society is split into 3 classes: the lower class, the middle class, and the upper class. These classes were carried over from Europe upon the arrival of the first settlers but the Industrial Revolution gave way to motivated unskilled workers to progressively make their way up the ladder. Labor conditions were harsh, but slowly, through many strikes and riots, progress was made to improve conditions. One of the ways to improve one's social status is to educate thyself and strive for a better job. During the Gilded Ages, in order to face urban overcrowding in poorer areas of the cities, settlement houses were created. Neither the city governments nor the churches were able to help everyone, especially in the poorer areas of the city. Social workers began to appear. They offered practical education, public health education, and English classes to immigrants. One of the most famous of these workers was Jane Addams, who eventually won a Nobel Prize for her work. Social classes have remained prominent throughout time. At one point, social inequalities diminished. In this course, we heard interviews with locals stating that social classes had decreased during the Great Depression, that touched individuals in each social class. This can be seen in the graph found in the New Yorker. We notice that during the Great Depression, after 1930, social classes had slightly diminished. We then notice that it progressively increases from the 1990s as social inequalities have returned to society. One way to combat social inequalities at the core is to improve education. Through better education, people can find better jobs, improve their housing, and their health. The last subject tackled in this course has been gender. Once again, equality between genders has not been sympathetic. Until the 1960s, women were seen as objects rather than intelligent, equal beings. This was seen through the roles given to women throughout history. Much has advanced, such as the right to vote, the right for equal pay, yet today women are still discriminated against. Currently, another gender question has come to the public eye. Transgender people are people whose gender identity does not correspond to that of a person's biological sex assigned at birth. Ads and videos running in the subways, bus shelters, digital publications, and other venues in several languages feature the testimonials from a transgender New Yorker, Alicia King, a Bronx mother. The campaign advocates the right for transgender people to identify with their own identity, hence having the legal right to use the bathroom consistent with their gender identity. Another example is Stu Rasmussen, an American politician who became the first openly transgender mayor elected in Silverton, Oregon, from 2009 to 2015. Having been elected means that voters saw the person with the abilities to guide a city without categorizing him or her to a stereotype. We can conclude this exercise by stating that total equality for all, independently of race, class, or gender, is very difficult for a society to achieve. The recent uproars on racial issues cannot go unnoticed. Many very motivated individuals have fought for the progress, but even today we cannot deny that racial, social, and gender biases exist. Society is still looking for an answer to face these issues. Perhaps it is time for a national questioning and for leaders to guide social thinking that we are equal, we are the same, and we all want the same thing, to love and live harmoniously and be able to express ourselves without being hurt or hurting others. These are the references that I used for this screencast. Thank you very much.